Clear your soil, let it rest, and then consciously choose what you want to plant. Do you know what's the biggest fertilizer that feeds fear? It's the environment. It's being surrounded by people who are paralyzed, who never take action. You say, I want to start a business, and they reply, oh, but is that really a good idea? Wouldn't it be better to get a steady job? Or, that's too risky. Be careful not to fail. This kind of environment is toxic because it reinforces the seeds of fear that have already been planted. Let me tell you something about myself. My life has always been driven by challenges. When I started my first business, a land development project, I didn't have any money, literally nothing. But do you know what I did? I moved forward anyway. The people around me said, you're crazy, what if it doesn't work out? And do you know what my response was? When have I ever failed before? This wasn't about arrogance, but about replacing fear with faith in my own abilities. Even without guarantees, I went for it and made it work. Today, things have changed. I no longer feel that pressure because, thank God, I've achieved financial stability. But you know what? I miss those days. I miss the challenge, the adrenaline of having to figure things out. That's what kept me moving. The point is this: you can't let other people's fears define who you are or what you can achieve. Fear is a seed, and your brain is the soil. If you keep letting others plant in your field, you'll end up harvesting things you never wanted. It's time to take control. Choose what you're going to plant, and, more importantly, pay attention to the environment around you. The environment can either be the fertilizer that strengthens your seeds or the poison that destroys your potential. Let's talk about a reality many people like to use to justify fear, negative numbers and statistics. Have you ever had someone say, 87% of businesses failed in the last 3 years because of the pandemic, or 600,000 businesses shut down in just 60 days? This kind of data seems informative, doesn't it? It seems like something you need to know to prepare yourself. But in practice, this isn't useful information. It's fertilizer for fear. Let me explain. Fear seeds are everywhere, free and readily available, and minds are ready to receive them because many people don't produce anything useful. They just consume and spread fear. Have you noticed how some people only talk about tragedies? I talk to some people, not naming names, and all they do is share negative news. Just tragedy, problems, disasters. Then they look at me and say, didn't you know about that? And my response is always the same: no, I didn't, and I don't want to know. I haven't watched the news since 2016. And you know what happens? Someone always says, but that makes you uninformed. So I ask, okay, what did you gain from that information? Besides more fear, besides a useless seed that won't produce anything positive in your life? That's the big question. We're surrounded by people who consume and pass on fear, but never stop to ask themselves, is this helping me or paralyzing me? Now tell me, how many people do you know who pour all their emotions into external things like sports teams, politics, or even celebrities? If your only source of joy depends on something outside of you, I'm sorry, but that's emptiness. If your happiness depends on your team's performance or something you can't control, that's a sign you don't truly know yourself. Because those with a solid foundation, those grounded on the true rock, Christ, don't need that. They're not dependent on external circumstances for joy. Back to our theme. We have seeds, soil, fertilizer, and also a powerful enemy, pesticides. And do you know what the pesticide of fear is? It's inaction, it's paralysis. So, how do you combat fear? With something I call positive action facing fear. That's exactly what you need to take away from this. Positive action facing fear. It doesn't matter if you think you can't, if you feel unprepared, or if you simply don't want to. Do it anyway. I repeat, do it anyway. Because here's the difference between children and adults. Children do what they want. Adults do what needs to be done, period. Let me give you a personal example. Every day at home I get into the pool to exercise. And you know how the water feels? Freezing, Arctic, because I purposely turn off the heater. Why? Because I want to train my mind not to retreat in the face of discomfort. It's the same principle when I go biking with someone and I see them losing motivation. It doesn't matter. I keep going until the end. My rule is simple. I don't stop until I'm done. That's what you need to adopt in your life. The commitment to push through even when you don't feel like it, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Today I cycled 25 kilometers and rode alongside someone who I must say is good at every sport. But something curious happened. They seemed nervous riding next to me. I don't think they were used to it. In fact, they're probably in the auditorium next door right now, where another event is taking place. When they arrived, they said, "I came ready to cycle 100 kilometers today." I looked at them and asked, "Are you wearing underwear?" The response was, "Yes." So I said, "If you're wearing underwear, there's no way you're cycling 100 kilometers. Cycling gear is designed to be worn without underwear, or it'll chafe your groin. So let's lower the goal to 50 kilometers, okay?" We started pedaling, and soon I noticed their tire was flat. I explained, "With a tire like that, you won't make it 50 kilometers, and you might even puncture it." And as expected, the tire went flat. While fixing it, I took the opportunity to teach a few lessons. Do you think you can ride 100 kilometers like this? And with this loose frame, it's clear you weren't prepared. Do you think life is about luck? Life isn't about luck. It's about sowing and reaping. That's a rule that applies to every area. To show this in practice, I took them to a different bike trail. There were no flat terrains there, only climbs. When we reached the first hill, I heard, "I'm going to quit." I immediately replied, "No, but before that, repeat a phrase with me." They asked, "What phrase?" I said, "Behind one climb, there's another climb." They laughed, thinking I was going to say a descent. So I explained, "We're going from glory to glory. Our goal is heaven, and heaven is only reached by climbing. When a descent comes, that's a bonus, not something we should expect." We kept going for over an hour and a half. It was an intense workout, and as we pedaled, I taught an even bigger lesson. What matters isn't the strength of your body, but the strength of your mind. Fear isn't in the physical, I said. It's in the soul. It's in the mind. And do you know what's worse? You've been deceived. Deceived by an avalanche of negative seeds that were planted in you. But here's the solution. The pesticide that combats fear is simple. It's action. It's doing, even when you think you can't. In our cycling group, there were 16 people. Many quit before truly getting started, so I chose someone to help, Rodrigo. He's the only one who never backs out, always showing up when called. I started training him. When he said, "My leg hurts," I replied, "Then smile, even through the pain, because the strength you need is inside you, not in me or anyone else." People often have the illusion that strength comes from external sources. I've heard people say, "I found strength in someone else." That's a lie. Strength never comes from the outside. If you want strength, you'll have to find it within yourself, because that's where it is, inside you.